Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha'ak Wadash, Call Holayim La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha'ak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who taught me this truth. And salutations to all you Akim out there pushing this word in truth and sincerity, always in charity. Volume for the truth coming at you with another lesson inspired by the Holy Spirit. Baha Rakwadash. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying to the elect. And pretty much this lesson is inspired by the conversation that I was asking AI, right? Going into, pretty much the pretty much where we at in the grand scheme of things as far as this prophetic timeline, right? And brothers, we already know, man, we at the end, man, okay? We know that we at the end, man. Just like the Lord said, this gospel shall be preaching to the four corners of the world, then shall the end come, okay? All right? You see the Israelites, right? Waking up in these last days, man, okay? Coming into this the true knowledge, wisdom, understanding of who they are. Okay, the men of the Lord out there on the highways and byways, prophesying the downfall of this wicked, sinful kingdom. All right, queendom. All right. So we know that we at the end, but it's further edifying and reassuring when you have secular sources. And within this context, I'm speaking about as far as the conversation I was having with Google, but it's further edifying or reassuring when you have even sources such as AI, right, reaffirming that this is where we're at, man. So I just want to pull this out of Revelations chapter 11, verse 14. It says, "The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly." I'm going to read it one more time. It says, "The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly," man. All right. So here we are, man. Here we are. I want to get this out of 2nd Esdras chapter 15. It says, "Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true." And that's what's taking place, man. Okay. The words is jumping out of these books, man. Okay. Out of the scriptures, man. They jumping off the pages, man. All right. I'm going to jump down to verse. I'm going to keep on reading. It says, "Fear not the imaginations against thee. Let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee. For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness." Okay, so the word has been out there, man. The men of the Lord has been out there on the highways and byways, going on 40 years, starting with Elder Apostle, even prior to that, man. Okay, with Abba Bivens, right? Who we through the Spirit believe is John the Baptist. Okay, all right, and the word being established. Okay, with One West. All right, and from then on out, with Elder Apostle Tahar on down, and apostles and the men of the Lord who are faithfully preaching this doctrine. Okay, the word has been out there on the highways and byways, man. Okay, roughly 40 plus years. All right, and what have they been prophesying? Okay, the destruction of America, World War III. All right, the MOTB, which is the the RFID. Right, all right. And the word has never changed. The word has never changed, and we're seeing these things coming to pass, man. You can see it, man. Even individuals outside of the truth, man, they see it, and they're correlating it with the scriptures. Okay, showing you that what they are faithful and true. Okay, so regardless of individuals who they don't want to believe it, right? They want to be trapped in this mindset, this rabbit hole, right? This rat race, right? All right, this treadmill, this society, man. All right, well then, yeah, they're going to perish right along with it because it's written. It says, "Behold, saith Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. For wickedness has exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled." Okay, so, hey, man, it's about time where the Lord is beginning to make inquisition. All right, he's beginning to make inquisition to those who have hurt unjustly with their wicked works, man. Starting first and foremost with Esau Edom, all right, who was in rulership, man. All right. It's because of him. He has polluted the whole earth, man. All right. With his vibration, man, the vibration that he's pushing out, man, this is the devil that the Bible speaks about, man, the so-called white man. All right. And the world is waking up to that, man, which is prophesied, man. He says, behold, I've made thee small among the heathen. All right. Thou art greatly despised. All right. You can read about that in Obadiah, man. All right. And Obadiah really is your death certificate, man. Signed, sealed, and delivered, man. All right. Salakia real quick. All right. So, we're seeing, these things coming to pass, man, just like the scripture said they would. All right. They're faithful and true. All right. For wickedness has exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. So the Lord is tired, man. All right. He's fed up, man. And that's why you see judgment going on. All right. Going forth throughout the earth. Like right now, you got Europe right now in the damn oven. Right. They're virtually in the fucking microwave, man. All right. All right. That bottomless pit, man. All right. You seen that, man. The judgment taking place throughout the earth, man. All right. Verse 15, chapter 15, verse 8, it says, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness, which they profanely commit. Neither will I suffer them in those things in which they wickedly exercise themselves. Behold, the innocent and righteous blood crieth unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually. First and foremost, man, the blood of our Lord Yahushua Mashiach is crying out in these last days. And you can see that by way of the men of the Lord out there on the highways and byways preaching the true doctrine, man. All right, it tells you that let me grab that real quick. It says, when the Holy Spirit is come, it shall reprove the world of sin. Bear with me, Salakia. And ultimately, all things is taking place for the elect's sake, man. All right, this is John chapter 16 and verse 7. It says, nevertheless, I tell you the truth. It is expedient, and this is our Lord Yahushua Mashiach speaking, red letters. It says, nevertheless, I tell you the truth. It is expedient for you that I go away. For if I go not away, the Comforter will not come unto you. But if I depart, I will send him unto you. And when he is come, he will reprove the world of sin and of righteousness and of judgment, okay? Of sin, because they believe not on me. Of righteousness, and that goes for you 2/3, man. That's what it's applying for. That's who this verse in particular is applied to, man. You 2/3, man. Because you heard this word, you scoffed at it, you chose not to believe it. And just like it says, all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. Verse 10, of righteousness, because I go to my Father and ye see me no more. And that's why, man, hey, we're able to speak on these things in these last days, man. All right, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, all righteousness, man. All right, because of his sacrifice, man, we risen up in these last days. All right. All right, and it's because of him that we have access to the Father through the Holy Spirit. Verse 12, it says, it's like it. Verse 11, of judgment, because the prince of this world is judged. Okay, so there you have it. Okay, so the Lord's blood is crying out in these last days, man. All right, by way of his holy prophets out there on the highways and byways, man, reproving the world of sin, man. All right, showing our people their transgressions, lifting up their voice like a trumpet, but also, all right, prophesying the downfall of this present wicked, evil society, man. This queendom that we're living in, man, which is bound to go down. All right, it is bound to go down, and it's already, all right, already in the process, man. And I'm gonna seal the point off here. This is the jump down second Ezra chapter 15 and verse 14. It says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, and they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So it's going to be all out anarchy, okay, in these streets, man. It was a thought that came to mind, when I was reading this before a few years back, man. It's like, the whole earth is going to be turned into a level 4 prison yard, man, a high security prison yard, man. And what I mean by that is when you see, it's going to be a riot, man. All right. It's going to be straight anarchy, man. All right. Let me grab another precept on this point. Yeah. Chapter Slakia, second Ezra, chapter 16, verse 1, it says, "Woe be unto thee, Babylon and Asia, woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria," man. And ultimately, all these is culminated over here in America, man. That's who this woe was unto, man, but also to the four corners of the earth, man. "Gird up yourselves with cloths of sack and hair. Bewail your children and be sorry, for your destruction is at hand." Verse 3, "A sword is sent upon you, and who may turn it back?" Verse 4, "A fire is sent among you, and who may quench it? Plagues are sent unto you, and what is he they may drive them away?" All right. All right. So, hey, the Lord is beginning, man, to fulfill the word that he spoke, man. And pretty much I wanted to bring this out. I'm going to try not to make this lesson too long, but I do want to bring out, and I might have to make a part 2. I wanted to bring out in regards to the historical precedents that we have, all right, letting us know that, hey, man, World War III is, we damn near passed the threshold, man. Okay, the United States has entered, all right. That's what it is, man. The United States is in the midst of World War III, man. Okay, regardless of whether individuals want to, recognize it as such, right? Or call it such, right? Because of course, like World War I and World War II, you had that formal declaration of war, right? Well, in today's time, man, it's not going to be a formal declaration of war, man. All right, and this article is going to show you this. So I asked Google, I asked them, how long did World Wars I and II go on before the United States got involved? It says the United States remained officially neutral for 2 years and 8 months during World War I and 2 years and 3 months during World War II. It says here's the exact breakdown of the timelines for both conflicts. It says World War I, the war started July 28th, 1914, when Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. It says the United States entered April 6, 1917, when Congress declared war on the German Empire. It says time elapsed 2 years, 8 months, and 9 days. Okay, so you had that, like it says, a time elapse of roughly 3 years. All right, 4 months short of 3 years. All right. It says World War II. War started September 1st, 1939. Slack you real quick. Yeah, so it says World War II. It says war started September 1st, 1939, when Nazi Germany invaded Poland. The United States entered, and really it was going on longer than that, which it gets into it. United States entered December 8th, 1941, when the United States declared war on Japan the day after the attack on Pearl Harbor. All right. Time elapsed 2 years, 3 months, and 7 days, according to that angle. But it really began, World War II really, it never, World War I really never ended. When you go into the history of how, the Treaty of Versailles, right? It was fragile from the jump, right? And Germany, even, immediately after World War I ended, was already plotting, okay, all right, pretty much break out of that treaty that it had agreed to, after World War I had ended, because they recognized that it wasn't fair to them, and that's why ultimately you had that Hitler, okay. Pretty much, the Lord rose up the spirit of Hitler, man, to do what he did, unifying Germany, and establishing as a military, state, once more, so not to have a whole, history lesson on that, but nevertheless, pretty much, it goes into how the Japan, okay, and Russia were already in conflict, in the midst of conflict, and this was prior to Germany, the European theater, right? Because that's ultimately what they're looking at it from, the aspect of the European theater opening up. But it was already taking place over here in Indo-Pacific. So it says, note, if measuring from the start of the Second Sino-Japanese War in July 1937, which many historians consider the true beginning of conflict in Asia, the war had been raging for 4 years and 5 months, and that's ultimately the angle that I am subscribing to. In as a point of reference in this lesson. Okay, how it would have been going on in the Asian theater, so to speak, in the Pacific theater for 4 years and 5 months prior to the United States getting involved. So I asked Google, what parallels can we draw from this information to the United States' current geopolitical situation? Now, before it gives an answer, my, speaking as a man, but my, what can you call it? My perspective on it is that, as you see, Russia and Ukraine, right? That's been going on for what, roughly 4 years, right? All right. Here it is, and that's an ongoing conflict, right? That's an active military war zone. Okay. Hey, here he is, man. All right. But it says the timeline of the United States delay before entering both world wars reveals significant parallels to the modern geopolitical landscape, particularly regarding how a superpower navigates a fractured global order without committing its own boots on the ground. Yeah, because individuals over here in America, they believe just because the United States doesn't have, boots on it, which they do. All right. You see what's going on right now. Israel and the United States agreed to have a merger of their forces, of their armed forces. All right. What's that showing you? All right. What is that showing you? But nevertheless, people look at it as like, okay, well, since there isn't, any active boots on the ground. All right. Or in any active armed conflicts, the United States, isn't, currently involved in any of these conflicts, which that's not the case. Okay. All right. You have members, paramilitary, all right, militias, what do they call that? Where pretty much they're hired. The term slips my mind, but you have in the United States, all right, boots. You have United States boots on the ground over there in Ukraine and all, in these various, armed conflicts throughout the earth right now, man, taking place. What do they call it? Man. So at the tip of my tongue. It escapes me. I don't want to write this out. It comes back to mind, but pretty much, yeah, man, United States boots is on the ground, man, especially over there in Ukraine, man. And then when you further dig into the aspects of the conflict going on over there in Ukraine, Russia has, various, international forces, on fighting on its behalf, man. The Koreans, North Korea, right? There's IRGC members, man, over there. Iranians, man, they getting piece of the action, right? Because what it's about, it's like they recognizing that they're getting war ready, man. Various African, all right, troops over there fighting on behalf of Russia, right? And Ukraine also got, all right, you got various, foreign militants. That's the word I'm looking for. Foreign militants fighting on its behalf as well. Okay, so what do you call that? And they go into the blue blah 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 blah. I'll start here. The modern lend-lease and proxy support. All right, so it's going into the distinct parallels to today's geopolitical dynamics. It says prior to entering World War II, the United States acted as the arsenal of democracy, sending vast amounts of weapons and financial aid to Great Britain and China through the Lend-Lease Act. The modern parallel. The United States utilizes an almost identical blueprint. It provides massive multi-billion-dollar military aid packages, intelligence sharing, and advanced hardware to Ukraine to counter Russia and utilizes the porcupine strategy to arm Taiwan to deter a potential Chinese invasion, which, through the spirit, man, I believe that, next year is going to be the year, man. All right. In regards to that, man, China themselves said it. All right. In an article a few years back, it was probably 2023. They said that they need to be prepared for to invade Taiwan. And they explicitly said that, man. And you can look it up. They said that they need to be prepared to invade Taiwan by 2027, man. All right. So, hey, man, we at the door, man. All right. We are at the door. And, at that time, you had the king of Babylon at that time, Biden, saying that pretty much, oh, yeah, well, we have no other choice but to help Taiwan if that is the case, and, also, they got policies pretty much. You see, and that's showing you, man, that these leaders, man, these rulers over here in the United States, man, in Babylon, bro, they fucking shoot themselves in the foot, man. Okay, they are pretty much, they shot themselves in the foot, man, because pretty much they put it to where they have no other choice but to go in on behalf of Taiwan, which is not a member of NATO, right? So, but nevertheless, they are in agreement. They signed a treaty with them that they have no other choice but to help in the event that China invades Taiwan. And we're talking boots on the ground. Now, Trump, you feel me? And this, just like Esau is, man, wishy-washy, man. Okay. They don't honor, okay, contracts or agreements, man. They do not honor that. Nevertheless, it's written down on paper. Okay. But nevertheless, Trump will, he's pretty much, in limbo about, the particular aspects and the promises that to be fulfilled in regards to that, if you can call it that. It says, it says the strategy remains the same: degrade the capabilities of aggressive adversaries using material wealth rather than American lives. Verse 2. Point 2, it says the multi-theater gating dilemma. It says, in the years leading up to late 1941, the United States tried desperately to treat conflicts in Europe, Nazi Germany, and Asia, Imperial Japan, as isolated, separate regional issues. It eventually learned that aggressive autocracies form networks that inevitably merge into a singular global crisis. Okay? It says the modern parallel. The United States faces deeply interconnected hotspots across the globe: Eastern Europe, Russia, Ukraine, the Middle East, the Israel-Hamas conflict, and recent direct tensions with Iran, and the Indo-Pacific with China and Taiwan. Just as in the 1930s, adversaries have formed a highly cooperative axis with China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea. And that's all according to biblical prophecy, man. You can read about that in Ezekiel. What is that? The 28th chapter talks about how God is going to be a guard unto the nations. Or is it Ezekiel? Ezekiel 38. You can read about that in Ezekiel, the 38th chapter. Right? But it says China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea exchanging drone technology, ballistic missiles, and economic lifelines to bypass Western sanctions. Okay? It says domestic splitting, isolationism versus internationalism. It says the 32-month delay in World War I and 27-month delay in World War II were largely driven by fierce domestic political resistance. In the 1930s, the America First movement, led by public figures like Charles Lindbergh, strongly argued that European and Asian conflicts were not America's business. Okay? It says the modern parallel. The modern United States political landscape mirrors this exact internal struggle. There is intense bipartisan and public debate over foreign entanglements. One faction pushes for traditional internationalism and strengthening NATO, while a surging populist faction pushes for a return to restraint, arguing that domestic issues should take precedence and allies should shoulder their own security burdens. And who do you think, okay, those pushing for uh, traditional internationalism, who do you think those are? All right, we know who it is, man. Them small hats, man. All right, and you got E on E, man. You got Esau coming out talking about that them ish lobbyists, right? Those ish lobbyists, warmongers. Okay, all right. So we know who this is talking about. While a surging populist faction pushes for a return to restraint, this is ultimately what's going to be, you know, you know, amongst other things. This as well is going to be you know, the straw that breaks the camel's back, proverbially. Because you see that, like amongst Trump's supporters, right, with MAGA and things of that nature, right, they are fractured. All right, it's a civil war amongst his base of supporters, right. All right. See, the Lord is cold, man. He's dividing, he's divvying, all right, Esau, eat him up in every aspect, man, amongst themselves, politically, class wise, hey, man, you name it, man. They're being divided, man. All right. And it says it, man. It says, how can Satan cast out Satan? Okay. A kingdom divided against itself cannot stand. When you read that in another translation, it says a empire, right? Or a kingdom at civil war with itself, all right, cannot stand, man. All right, so it's civil war, man. That's why it says it, man. It's gonna be kingdom against kingdom, realm against realm, people against people. All right, this is you seeing it taking place. It says arguing that domestic issues should take precedence and allies should shoulder their own security burdens. Number 4, it says economic deterrence and red lines. It says before Pearl Harbor, the United States attempted to halt Japanese expansion, not with bullets, but with strict economic warfare, most notably the 1941 oil embargo. Rather than stopping Japan, the economic choking point cornered the empire, convincing its leadership that a preemptive strike on the United States was their only choice. And you see, United States, man, right now, man, they're making the same mistakes, man. Okay, with these tariffs, right? Right? You're putting these tariffs on even on its own allies, right? All right. Trump talking about he finna go in Greenland, all right? Take over Greenland, right? All these different things that this devil is doing right now, man, is putting itself in a situation to where it's going to, it's pushing people in the corner, man. It's backing people in the corner. He's backing NATO in the corner, man. All right. Okay, he's backing Central America, which we know, majority of them over there is our people, right? All right, but he's backing these Central American governments over here with his Don Roe doctrine, right? How he needs to exert influence aggressively throughout the Central America, right? Well, he's pushing them further and further towards China and Russia, all right, giving them no choice, right? But to side with its own with its adversaries, right? And they're in your own backyard. So just wanted to make a mental note on that, man. Because ultimately, let me grab this precept. And ultimately, this is all according to the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. This is what he said it was going to happen. All right. This is Job chapter 18 and verse 5. It says, yeah, the light of the wicked shall be put out, and the spark of his fire shall not shine. You see, you're not looked at as wise anymore, Esau. All right. You're not looked at as wise. Like at one point in time, what they had? They had the Enlightenment, okay, in the 17th century, right? All right. Everybody was looking at you like, oh yeah, you're just wise, with your pseudoscience, right? You were the most advanced race and things of that nature. And you were the civilized, right? And it was you were obligated to bring civilization, okay, to the four corners of the earth, right? And you looked at the rest of the world as heathen, right? And you were the only civilized race that there was, and everybody got to follow you. Yeah, man, the light, your light is being put out, man. All right, people are waking up to who you are. That you're a damn devil, man. And it's all being brought out. You're trying to hide it in the history books. You're trying to take it out, right? You know, trying to manipulate, okay, the internet to where people can't bring this truth out, man. The Lord is bringing it out, man. It says, how are the hidden things of Esau searched out? All right. So and it's their own tongue, man. It's your own people that's bringing it out as well, man. 18 verse 6, it says, the light shall be dark in his tabernacle, and his candle shall be put out with him, man. Gonna be a blackout in this motherfucker, man. Hey, man. All right. Like they say, man, lights on, nobody home. Well, look, man, the Lord is gonna turn the lights off in this bitch. All right. It says, verse 7, it says, the steps of his strength shall be straightened, and his own counsel shall cast him down. You see, so his own counsel is going to cast him down, man. So everything that this devil is doing, he thinks that he's doing, to bring prosperity, all right? Or that's what the lie that he sold, all right? He sold that lie to you people, all right? Or make America great again, man. Well, there's a hidden, all right? That's what they call it, a double entendre, right? There's a double meaning to what he's implying by that, what he means by that, man. You're seeing it taking place, man. All right. It says, verse 8, it says, for he is cast into a net by his own feet. All right. And he walketh upon a snare. The jinn shall take him by the heel, and the robber shall prevail against him. The snare is laid for him in the ground, and a trap for him in the way. Terrors shall make him afraid on every side, and shall drive him to his feet. And ultimately, them terrorists is talking about them ICBM nuclear destruction, man, coming from all angles, man. You can read about that in Jeremiah the 50th chapter and Jeremiah 49, man. All right. It says, hold not back, all ye that bend the bow. All right. What's that bow talking about? Talking about them the missile silos, man. Okay. But I just wanted to add that, to the point to where it spoke about how it says, rather than stopping Japan, it says the economic choking point cornered the empire, convincing its leadership that a preemptive strike on the United States was their only choice. You see, in another way, we can apply that precept or apply this statement is how, once again, back to those tariffs, right? How by Trump, applying these tariffs upon all these foreign economies and whatnot, man, he's weaponizing the dollar. That's incentivizing people to separate themselves from the dollar. Okay, which is ultimately by design, man. These elites, man, they know what they doing, man. All right. Okay, because ultimately, what the dollar is going to crash, and that's partly by design, and that's partly out of their hands as well, because they're recognizing that that's all, it's going to happen regardless of whether they push it or whether they just sit back and watch it happen, man. All right, it's going to happen. All right. And these devils, they're proud. They're so proud to think that they're going to be able to climb their way out of this, and they're not. All right. That's why it says they're trapped by snared by their net of their own hands. Okay. So it says modern parallel. It says economic warfare is now, see, and I didn't even read this prior to, this being brought out, but that's just showing you through the spirit that this is what it is. It says economic warfare is now the primary United States weapon of first resort. High-tech export controls. We were just talking about them tariffs, man. All right. High-tech export controls, sweeping banking sanctions against Russia, and trade tariffs aimed at Chinese industrial overcapacity are the modern equivalent of the pre-war embargoes. You see, man, that's the spirit. The parallel risk remains. Aggressive economic containment can sometimes provoke an adversary into taking more drastic, unpredictable military actions. We just went in on that, man. All right. So this devil, man, he's thinking he's being smart, man. He thought this nigga had Doge, right? What's the nigga name, man? Uh, 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 he slipped my mind, man. But Neuralink, man, it's Neuralink, nigga, man. Had him, come in, on the first few months of his second term, right? Elon Musk, right? Set up Doge, right? Right, and he he started pretty much, you know, uh, uh, stripping, these different aspects of government, the financial, okay, rearranging it, okay, like they said that he was rearranging the United States uh, uh, government in his image after his likeness. That's what they said about Trump and Elon Musk that they were doing. You feel me, at that point in time. But nevertheless, the tariffs, okay, using AI. Pretty much the nigga was using AI to try to set up his tariff policies, right? But what was you doing, man? At the end of the day, man, you were pushing more and more people to go against the dollar, man. Okay, they're seeing that you're weaponizing it, man. And what is that doing? You're pushing even your allies, right? You not adversaries excluded, but you're pushing your allies towards your adversaries, man. And then once again, you're falling into your own trap, you know? Verse 5, it says the catalyst effect. It says strategic ambiguity until a shock. Okay, it says historically, the United States rarely enters a major global conflict by choice. It requires a profound direct catalyst to shatter domestic isolationism, such as the interception of the Zimmerman telegram in 1917 or the Pearl Harbor attack in 1941. It says until those moments, the United States maintained strategic ambiguity. The modern parallel said the United States explicitly maintains strategic ambiguity regarding Taiwan. We was going into that earlier in this lesson. It says refusing to state definitively whether it would militarily defend the island from an attack. History suggests that while the United States will exhaust every diplomatic and proxy option to stay out of a direct war, a singular catastrophic event such as a major cyber attack on United States infrastructure, an attack on a United States naval asset, or a miscalculation in the South China Sea could instantly collapse that ambiguity just as it did in 1917 and 1941. Okay? So yeah, man, just like we was going into earlier in this lesson, man, hey, the nigga Biden, man. Okay, the nigga was, he was talking real tough on that particular issue, man. All right, he made it clear. There was no strategic ambiguity. Once again, these devils is making their own tongue to fall upon themselves, and they're being snared by a trap in their own hands. I'm gonna read that one more time. Okay, because he made it clear. Oh yeah, if China attacks Taiwan, bro, we will defend Taiwan. We have no other choice. You know? All right, well, you know, this is what it's gonna be, man. Once again, this is Job chapter 18. And verse 7, it says, the steps of his strength shall be straightened, and his own counsel shall cast him down. For he is cast into a net by his own feet, and he walketh upon a snare, man. So he's being cast into a net by his own feet, man. And really, it's Yahweh Shimi Awashai that's doing it all, man. What it say? It says, there's a way that seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof, the end thereof is the way of death, okay? Yeah, let me get that real quick. Yeah, this is Proverbs chapter 16, verse 25. It says, there is a way that seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. Okay? So, yeah, this devil thinking that everything that he's doing is, strategically sound. This nigga, and you see how prideful and how proud this devil is, man. All right? How boastful he speaks about himself, man. When the decisions that he's making, man, all right? This nigga really thinks that this nigga, that his counsel is intelligent, man. Verse, Slakia. This is verse 9. It says, a man's heart devises his way, but the Lord directeth his steps. Okay, so at the end of the day, it's the counsel of the Lord is going to stand, man. All right. One more precept on that point. This is Proverbs chapter 21, verse 1. It says, the king's heart is in the hand of Yahweh, Hashem Yahushai, as the rivers of water. He turns it wheresoever he wills. Okay, so at the end of the day, man, it's the how about Hashem Yahushai that's controlling the show, man. Just look at how this devil is losing his wits, man. Bugging out, crashing out. Every time you hear this nigga Trump make a statement, man, you got to have it in your mind. It's Yahweh Shem Yahushua that's putting it on his heart to say what he's saying and to do what he's doing. That goes for the rest of these world leaders as well, man. Pay attention to what they're saying, man. You want to really see Yahweh Shem Yahushua at work? You want to really see Yahweh Shem Yahushua at work? Look at how these world leaders, man, are responding or reacting to what's taking place, man. All right, the decisions that they're making, the moves that they're making, man. All right, that's Yahweh Shem Yahushua at work. Tells you that in Isaiah chapter 10. It says Isaiah chapter 10, verse 5. It says, O Assyrian, the rod of mine anger, the staff in their hand is my indignation. Okay? And the modern day Assyria is over here in America, man. All right, this is talking about the king of Assyria, which is right now, okay, Nero Trump. All right. It says, I will send him against a hypocritical nation, and against the people of my wrath will I give him a charge to take the spoil and to take the prey and to tread them down like the mire of the streets. Okay, so the Lord's saying that he's putting it on the mind of the king of Assyria to do what he's doing, man. And also, I mean, we have Jacob's trouble coming out, man, which the men of the Lord have been warning us about, man, been warning you, Jacob, about, man, you 2/3, man. He's been warning our people. They've been warning our people about Jacob's trouble, man. All right, long enough. All right. So when you see Esau, you know, you seeing the brewing, this race war brewing, okay? Esau turning up the temperature, you know, with the racial remarks, man, okay? All right, like you just had the Jake, the 4th of July, man. You know, you went out with his Edomite friends, man, and he came up missing, man. They just found his body, man. Okay, what do you think what that's doing? Okay, that's stoking the flames, okay, of this race war in particular against you Jakes, man. And not only that, okay, we can see this scripture also taking place with the immigration, okay, officers, man, coming up snatching up you 10 tribe, you Northern Kingdom, okay, you so-called Latinos and Native Americans, right? Particularly you Latinos, right? You know, they ain't snatching up no name. Well, hey, man, okay, this devil is snatching up anybody, man. Okay, this devil is snatching up natural-born citizens, man, okay? And saying that, hey, they look the part, man. So you Native Americans, you know that he's snatching up, all right, you Native Americans as well, man, all right? So I stand corrected on my own, you know, on that point right there, all right? But the Lord is doing that, ultimately, all right? The Lord is doing that, man. We're in the midst of Jacob's trouble, for sure, all right? And ultimately, it's really going to, you know, fulfill itself, man. All right. All right. We're in the beginning of Jacob's trouble, I should say, man. The opening stages of it, man. It's ultimately going to play itself out, man. All right. you know, when society collapses, man. Verse 7, it says, howbeit he meaneth not so, neither doeth his heart think so, but it is in his heart to destroy and cut off nations, not a few. All right. So, you know, even though, you know, this devil, he has it in his mind that he's doing what he's doing, you know, based upon his own counsel, all right, his own thoughts, right? It's really how about Shem Yahushua that's putting in his mind to do what he's doing. Why? Because he's fulfilling his will. All right. And I'm going to make a part 2 to this, right? Because there's more I want to get into in regards to this conversation I was having with, you know, with the AI in regards to this, man. You know, it's yielded me much fruit, all right? And I haven't read this all the way through. I've read bits and pieces of it, but, you know, Lord willing, I'll be able to bring more of this out, man, later on, man. So, you know, until then, shalom, shalom. I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Shem Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Chayach Wadash, for putting it on my spirit to push out this lesson. And till next time.